Thank you very much indeed. We'd like to invite Mr. Fumio Nanjo, the director of the Mori Art Museum, on stage. His presentation is entitled Future into Art. Ladies and gentlemen, please join me in welcoming Mr. Nanjo on stage.
こんにちは。
Greeting to all of you. In 2013 and onwards, ICF has been held, and I serve as the organizing committee. This is the first time that I was invited to speak as a keynote speaker. Being a director of the Mori Art Museum, I'd like to introduce to you our exhibition, which was opened yesterday. The Mori Art Museum started the exhibition until the 29th of March next year, entitled the How Humanity Live Tomorrow. And that is the subtitle of our exhibition, the art and science. What is what actually is lying between art and the science? There is no boundary, because that from the standpoint of creativity, art is something which the science is doing. So there is a connection between the two worlds, and those sphere, art and science, actually seek the reality, how to capture reality surrounding us. And that is a kind of main theme of both art and science. That the science pursue the state of art, to bring the human beings to the universe or to the moon. The art is more like an expressive way of the philosophy that is sought by the art. So that this exhibition is a technology and art to envision the future. There are some assumptions that we have that the medicine and the art in 2008 through 2009, many the artworks were presented like medical devices, medical equipment for certain others, or that the anatomy diagram of Leonardo da Vinci or Diane Haas drawings, and also that the coat made of skin genetically manipulated and cultured. And then in 2016-17, we have the Universal Art Exhibition. There's the mandala, or the kind of the description of the universe by the Buddhist monks, and also that the first edition, published editions of Copernicus and Newton's and Kepler's, and also the Japanese sword made of that meteorite borrowed from Russian study. And from the very starting point of that art exhibition, we focus on our cities and that the city designs and science and technology, arts and design, architects, and various other stakeholders. And that the Metabolism, the City of the Future exhibition was held in 2011 and 2012. In 1960s, Kenzo Tange, the very famous architect in Japan, and his followers, apprentices, and critics, to come up with the idea of the metabolism in the architecture. Being metabolism, the metabolic activities will take place in the city, so the city will survive while they are transforming themselves or doing some metabolism. One of the characteristics, as you can see in the image, that aerial or the mega structures, or that the cities floating on the seas, that one of the characteristics, representation of the metabolism, and that the materials are made into units, modulars, and makes that overall structure. With this as a kind of background, we come up with this the future and the art. From the standpoint of architectures and urban environment, new metabolism, the architecture can be thought of. And in the past, there's concrete and iron bars to make that city floating above the air, floating above the seas. But using that, their lifestyle, their life technologies and computer technology, why not make use of them so that the urban city will indeed be metabolizing. This is a kind of the very starting point. As a result, not only the cities and architecture is good enough to describe the future, so that the metabolism will focusing on not only that the cities and architectures, but the cultures and other aspects of human lives. So with that, we came up with 5 chapters to constitute this exhibition. The first was a new possibility of cities. The largest problem of the city facing now is the sustainability issue, as the Professor Nanjo mentioned. And this is the top of our mind when we think about the urban, the environment. This is must-have cities in Abu Dhabi. When that petroleum are all gone, depleted, Abu Dhabi, really, the government actually wished that Abu Dhabi as a nation to survive, so that the concept of this master city is to reduce the consumptions of energies and utilizing natural ventilations and effective mobilities, and that the combining them together to constitute a new form of city. And then the picture below is backed by Singapore, or the government, by Bjork Ingel's group. This is a modular the city floating on the sea. Sustainability is the name of a game, so it's self-sustaining, self-supporting. And then with that, the increasing level of the sea, don't worry because the city is floating above the sea. Japanese metabolist architects are actually making proposition of floating cities on the sea, but that kind of the point was somewhat different. Nowadays, that the point of interest of that the floating sea is that environmental issue, and this is the Tokyo 100 years from now. Well, actually, I asked her to come up with the idea of the Tokyo 50 years, but she came up. Return with the image 100 years from now. Tokyo is submerged under the sea, and then the revival of the greeneries and also spherical biospheres is a kind of habitual residence of human beings around those spheres. Their beautiful nature may be contaminated, but the sphere is a kind of unit for human beings to survive. In the underground, there's a watershed, so that various remains of the nature in the ancient Tokyo can be found in architect, or that the transformation of architect is progressing. Like in the case of Mr. Toyota, he has just made presentation on materials and construction method, and design series are changing nowadays. Focusing on material, this is a Ukraine. This is the external walls of the building covered by this Ukraine. Actually that the inhale CS2 and exhale the O2. And then right, you see that the fungus is absorbed in the block, and the block is used to make the structure. In a MoMA, PS1 garden, has this exhibition. It's more like a residence, that artisan residence that the kind of artwork is made in the garden. And this one is the Netherlands case using 3D printer methodology to create the bridge over Amsterdam canalways. Compiling the blocks together to come up with that, the Gramazio Kohler architect. And this is the internal decoration of the Islamic architecture. Actually, the information is led to by AIs, and also AI recreated patterns or algorithm. And then this is a Chinese architect, marked architects. They are actually coming up with this interesting the ideas. He studied at Lahore, and he came up with a great architectural work inspired by the mountain and water flow drawing of ancient China, so that the inspiration, the basis of inspiration actually is changing from what were there in the past. And then efficiency of energy, mobility, information. This is Alibaba's presentation in Hangzhou. That's the description of the logistics and workflow. And Toyota-san has just mentioned the noise. This is a proposition for the Osaka World Expo. I wish that he could actually explain further. But anyway, moving on. In Nikkei Sekkei, it's an installation that the audience or that the visitor can go inside the installation to see below. There is the structure of Tokyo and also around surrounding by the scene from Tokyo. It's a more abstract the trials by French Rush, the French architect. That's the collection of unconscious of human beings collected by the AIs and based on the mobility movement to create some kind of that the housings or apartment houses. That, because it's based on human mobility and human unconsciousness, will be up to for the people to live in using robotics and 3D printers. As for the lifestyles, fashion will actually change forms as well with various materials. Spider, the artificial, the spider web are used as a material for fashion. On the right hand side, you see the Amy Carter's work. This is the system of the internal organ of human bodies, and also that on the left you see that the lighting umbrella using the fungus, and also that the right hand side, this is recreation networks or that the meat in vitro. You can see that the culturing of small cells can come up with that edible meat so that we are able to create any food ingredients in the future. From different perspectives, that the taste is put into information or data and can be transferred to the remote location. So, and there's a kind of taste printer there so that you're able to recreate something sweet or the pungent and put them into the jelly-like form to make sushi. It doesn't look like a sushi, but it is sushi. So that if this technology realize you are able to enjoy sushi in the space station, the Takenaka Corporation come up with that the inside the house. The inside the house, all those facilities and the elements will be actually connected to the sensor so that the every aspect of a house could be the friend to human beings. Talking about human augmentation and its ethical issues, two aspects, the changes are taking place. One is robotics. Robots are independent. Sometimes that could be a very cute pet. Or the right-hand side, you see this is a real case in Congo that the traffic their control is conducted by a robot. People actually are obedient to robotics rather than traffic signals, red or yellow or blue. Now, they are artists, the robot turned artist, the portrait, the artist. And then this one is the musician robot conductor to do the concert.
So this is the robot taking up as the feminism as a theme. This is by Endo-san. This is the prosthetic for Ototake-san, and he is now walking using that prosthetic. So this is not just an artificial limb, but rather this is driven by robotics. And then this is almost like a joke. The person who is about to die, who doesn't have anyone to resort to, and there is a robot, holding hands when she or he is dying. So we, and also one more thing, using the biotechnology, we are able to have something new. This is the synthetic biology. Within the exhibition, we have bioatelier. Biolab is a generic term, but with the biotechnology, we use the term bioatelier. So here we have the artificial, the myocardium, and then this is the Van Gogh's ear. He's very famous for cutting off the part of his left ear at the final years, and so we received his predecessor, the ancestor, excuse me, his family member for generation, and then we were able to use the DNA of that person to come up with the ear of Van Gogh. And here utilizing the genetic information, music is made, and then that music information is put back into the gene. So we are able to say that the gene is the information container. So here, the author is utilizing the chromosome of the microorganism as the medium, and then we have the big data, and then this is about the media exhibition. So many things are being taken up. The biotechnologies are being utilized. Then one more thing, we have to think about the society and humans in transformation in thinking about AI. So the AI would drive the changes. And this is about the autonomous driving by Nissan, and this is a simulation. And then you have the avatar on your side. So that means that this is non-human. So you are able to have somebody who is bedridden, for example, and then you go to the drive. Then the autonomous driving cannot be realized without AI. But the most important thing is in AI is the ethics. I'm sure you all know the term trolley problem. How many of you know the trolley problem? Well, not too many of you know. This is a trolley, and then when the trolley is driving, and then if you go straight, then you will kill many people. Then on the right-hand side, then there is only one the individual. But you see the large number of people who are all elderly, and you might kill one individual who is young. Which one is important? Which path should the trolley take? So this is as if it is a game, but for example, you see Donald Trump in front of you, and then on the other hand, you see the child. So which one to kill? That is a major issue. Are we to tell the player which is the right answer? This is about the Bitcoin. Bitcoin is increasingly important, and this is a system called blockchain. And so the mining machine is inside of this. This is the artifact. And so if we are to have the development of this, then the capitalism would be destroyed. So at least the nation state, the system would be destroyed. And then this is by the Mike Taika. This is about the virtual identity, so virtual human beings. And then this is for the matching of the audience. So the audience would come in, and then they would come in the form of the pair. So that means that you and you are very similar. So this is considered to be a symbol of the managed society. And so in the future, maybe AI would be the decision maker for your marriage. This is the mock-up of the Mars house. And then this has been newly released. This is Titan. They modify the human beings and head toward Mars. So this is the storyline. To what extent we are able to change our body? So the technology is already there. Then we do not have the legal framework and the ethical background. So we are now thinking of developing and designing a new life. This is a sculpture, but actually the bioengineering has not been used here, but this can be done. Is it a worker? Is it our peer? Is it a pet? So that means that we are able to come up with something like this. So that means that the human beings will become a god. So this is a very tremendous age. So this is Osamu Tezuka's work. So at the very end of the exhibition, you can see this. And Osamu Tezuka left us with the many warnings for human beings. So we expanded this to show that on the screen. And so again, the limit of the growth, Mr. Landers talked about this, Professor Landers talked about this. So I read this book, and toward the end, there was something that was very important. So it is important to live in the fulfilling life. So we have to have our satisfaction. That's something shown here. So we have to be rich and also beautiful. So that should be the role that should be played by culture and art. I am about to close. So let's think about the situation in Japan in Edo era. We had a peace of 300 years. We had samurai. They were proud. They were not rich, but they were proud. And then the people in the industry were able to enjoy their lives. So that means that we are half the civilization and culture. And in many ways, the aristocrats were the only ones who were able to enjoy the culture. But in the case of Edo era, everybody was able to do this. So in thinking about the Edo culture, I think this should be the kind of model in which we are able to utilize AI and also mobilize all the people. One thing I can say is about the tea ceremony. When you have the tea ceremony, you might think that people would be able to drink tea, but the most important is to have a good environment, beautiful environment, and you have to be gracefully pour the tea. And so this is about the aesthetics. So lastly, I'd like to show you the Turkish artwork. This is about Göbekli Tepe. And so this is it uses the generative adversarial network and the AI algorithm. We create a new data monolith, which meant to learn from the Göbekli Tepe data. Thank you very much. Lastly, I'd like to just one more time say that we have to create a new way of the philosophy, aesthetics, and the ethics. Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Mr. Nanjo, the director of the Mori